forgot where I was going with that. Hey there, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Sam Marshall, and I am a writer, a book reviewer, and mom. On here, we discuss my writing journey, as well as books that I have read or that I'm looking forward to reading, and how all that integrates into my daily life. So if that content sounds interesting to you, be sure to give us a subscribe down below. And if you happen to like today's video, please be sure to give that a thumbs up. Thank you so much. Getting into today's topic of conversation, we're going over my January wrap-up. Woohoo! I read 7 books in the month of January from all different formats. I read paperback, hardback, audiobook, and I think I even did ebook. I'm trying to remember. I don't know. But I know I read through several different formats or listened to. Yeah, 7 books. That was a decent amount to get through during the month of January. I didn't expect to do quite that well. I thought 5 was shooting a pretty high estimate of what I would like to do, and I definitely surpassed that goal. So that was exciting. Now, I did read like a children's book, and I also read a novella in January. So they're shorter, so not as long as far as the audiobook and not as many pages for the children's book, but still, you know, I count them. So yay! Alright, I guess I'll just jump into the first book I read in January was dun, 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 A Little Hatred by Joe Abercrombie. And I did a review of this. I will link the video up in the cards above, so if you haven't watched it yet, you can check it out. I try to avoid spoilerish kind of things in the review. If you would like more spoilerish content, I will have a link down below to my Goodreads and my blog, in which I do talk a little bit more in detail about my thoughts and what I liked, didn't like about what went on. Mostly though, I will let you know, I loved this book. I rated it 5 stars. I thought it was amazing. It takes place within the First Law world. It is the first book in the Age of Madness series, originally planned on starting with the First Law books, the First Law trilogy, and it was not available through my library. So I saw that this book, A Little Hatred, the first book in the Age of Madness series, was available, and I went, oh, okay, it's the start of a different series. I'll go ahead and get that one so that I can still be exposed a bit to Joe Abercrombie's work. And I was thrilled. It was amazing. From the get-go, it just drops you in and it's great. Now, of course, knowing now that it is part of the First Law world, of course it can just drop you in because you're expected to know what the world is like. But it still kind of grows with you as you go through the book as well, to where you're slowly finding out what is going on in this place and what it's like. And I really enjoyed it. I love the characters. I love the plot lines. I love the obstacles that everybody faced. And I thought it was a very well written novel, and it definitely has me interested in the rest of the series, and definitely interested in reading the other books in the First Law world, such as the First Law trilogy and standalones. So good job, Joe Abercrombie. I'm hooked. The second book that I read in January was Atomic Habits, and I had the audiobook. It's by James Clear. I borrowed the audiobook from the library. I thought it was a very straightforward, practical approach to how to build habits and how to break old habits that you have. And I've seen where other people have discussed that, you know, it's really just a summary of other works dealing with habit building, and it just makes it a more digestible version of those books. That might be the case. This was my first attempt at reading a book that was about habit building, specifically in the self-help genre, and I felt that it was very easy to understand. It is very straightforward when it comes to, you know, implementing that into your life. And it was a wonderful audiobook to listen to. It was narrated by James Clear himself, and I felt that I did gain knowledge from it and things that I could apply to my own life. So in that regard, I really did enjoy the book, and I believe I rated it 4 stars on Goodreads. And that was simply because I felt it was a starter. I didn't feel like it was the end all be all, gave me all the information I would ever need. I felt like it was a good place to start and got me interested in reading more in-depth books on the same subject. So, moving on to book 3 that I read in January, we have moved now to The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse. Ooh, look at how pretty that is. It's so pretty. I love it. It's beautiful. Like, just, I don't know, it's minimalist, and I love it. I love it so much. My sister bought me this copy for my birthday this past December, and it was because her and I had been watching Murphy Napier talk about it and rave about it on her channel, and how she loved sharing this with her little boy. And so my sister got it for me to share with my little girl. My daughter is still very little, but I know this is going to be a book that her and I can share throughout our lives together, because there are so many things that resonate with me as an adult that might not have resonated the same as a child. So I think it is something that you can grow with and interpret as you get older in life. And it's beautiful. The images are just gorgeous, and it's profound. It's simplistic and profound and just beautiful. I cried so much when I was reading this book. We split it in half, and I read half of it the one day and half of it the next day. And both times I was bawling like a baby, sitting there on my daughter's floor reading this to her and showing her the pictures, because there are so many things that just touch your soul and that you can relate with, and they're lessons that you know because you've experienced them. As an adult, you know because you've experienced them, and you hope that sharing this with your child will help them to know that when they go through these things, if they go through these things, that they're not alone. And that's just, it's beautiful. It's all I can really say about it, is that I loved it, and I look forward to continuing to read it over and over and over again. And I can't recommend it highly enough. I rated this 5 stars, and yeah, this will be in our library forever. Book number 4 that I read in January, I was about to say this month, but book number 4 that I read in January was Cinder by Marissa Meyer. It's the first book in the series, and I did listen to the audiobook, which was really, it was nice. It was nice. I wouldn't say it's the best audiobook that I've ever listened to, but I did enjoy it, and I felt that the narrator's pacing, I'm gonna have to throw in the edits who the narrator was, because I goofed up and I forgot to write it down over here. But the narrator's pacing was great. They moved through the book at a decent clip, but still, we would say slow enough that you didn't feel like you were missing things. You know, you felt like you were moving with it in time, and that was good. But overall, I mean, I rated it a 3 stars on Goodreads. It was not my favorite. I've heard that the next books in the series really, really expand upon the world, and you get a better sense of the characters, and it gets better. But I liked the concept of the world that this takes place in. I liked the idea that, you know, Cinder not only had to deal with the evil stepmother thing, but the fact that she was a cyborg, and so there was discrimination against her for being a cyborg. But then beyond that, there's this whole world issue where there's a pandemic. So there's this virus that they don't have a cure for, and it takes people's lives. It kills them rather quick, and so there's this fear around it. And so there's a major obstacles with that, and that's a huge part of the world building that Marissa Meyer has, and I was excited. It was so exciting. It was so exciting to me to see that be applied to a fairy tale story that is fairly well known and fairly retold, you know. And I love Cinderella retellings, but I like a little bit of a, you know, a twist with it, or, you know, I like it to be, you know, updated a little bit, changed a bit, you know, don't just retell the same exact story. And for the most part, this book did a good job of that. But then as it got closer to the conclusion, I don't know, it just kind of fell flat for me. I felt like we went back to just being angsty, and I wanted a bit more out of it. And again, I've heard that as you get later on in the series that is better, and that the characters are definitely grounded a bit more, and the world is expanded upon, and you learn more and more as you go. So I will give the next book in the series a chance, and hopefully I am intrigued enough to continue reading after that point. But yeah, so in my opinion, it was okay. It was fun, but nothing groundbreaking for me. Book 5 is This Is How You Lose the Time War, which is a novella. It's written by Amel El-Motar and Max Gladstone. It was a short story. It was a novella. I think the audiobook, which I listened to, borrowed it from the library, was about 4 hours and 18 minutes long, so real quick, but so good. It's a series of letters written from two people on opposite sides of an ongoing war. That it's these two factions that are trying to win the time war, and they're tweaking moments in time as they go to, you know, get the advantage over the other group. And there's these two people on opposite sides of the war that start sharing letters with each other, and over the course of time they build a relationship with one another, and it's their story, and it's all done in a series of letters. And I thought it was so original and beautiful, and just the imagery that's used in it is wonderful. I couldn't stop listening to it, and even when I got to the end, I was just like, there's gotta be more, I need to know more. And yeah, so I again rated that one 5 stars, my second 5-star a year. I don't normally rate 5 stars that easily, but so far, two books in January so far have really won me over. Oh no, three, I forgot. The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse, I did rate 5. So 3 books in January I rated 5-star, which was surprising. I did not expect to rate that many books in January 5-star. The 6th book that I read was The Camelot Betrayal by Kiersten White, and it's the 2nd book in the Camelot Rising series. I say series because I'm not entirely certain if it's a trilogy. On the books, it's just listed as a Camelot Rising novel, so I think that's letting her have wiggle room if she decides to expand upon it, I guess. But I had such a rough time with this book. Oh my god. I don't know, man. I rated it 2.5 stars, mainly because I felt it dragged a lot. I loved the first book. I loved the Guinevere Deception. I rated it 5 stars. I thought it was wonderful. I thought the pacing was good. I love a good Camelot, or I love a good Arthurian legend, and I like retellings, and I loved all of the elements that she had put into the first one, and I loved the cliffhanger. Oh my god, I loved the cliffhanger. And so I came into this one expecting to, like, not, like, it didn't have to be like, oh, you're dropped into some action, but I did expect, you know, it to be a little bit more, since where we left off was like, oh god, there's so many things that could happen from this. But most of the book, it just felt like we were off over here, and we're supposed to be over here. And I was confused. And like, I understood that the author wanted to cover a few more Arthurian legends from the perspective that Guinevere was involved in them. And that's fine, I understand that. I just felt that the ones that she chose to do didn't further the plot of this particular storyline. I felt like it was a lot of filler. And I felt like a good 70 to 80% of the book was that. And then you get to the end, and it's like, oh, this is what I was waiting for. This is what I wanted. But it was only the last, like, 20 to 30% of the book. And it took me weeks to get through, like, doing 10 pages at a time, 15 pages at a time, because I just couldn't keep going. I did finish, and again, like I said, I liked the ending, and I'm interested to see where it goes, because I now want to know that last 20 to 30% got me like, okay, I need to know where this goes now. I just really hope that the next book doesn't lag as much as it did this time around. The last book that I read in the month was another one that was really difficult for me to get through, but for a completely different reason. And that is The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires by Grady. It is Grady, right? Yes, Grady Hendrix. I had to double check. Hey there, Future Sam here. I wanted to cut in real quick and let you all know that I am no longer going to be using the original footage I shot for this portion of my January wrap-up. The reason being is I'm not entirely certain how I actually feel about the Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires. I originally was going to rate it a 3-star out of 5 stars, and we're into February now, and I'm still sitting on this going, I really don't know how I want to rate this. I may, on my Goodreads right now, I think I have it listed as a 1-star. I'm still up in the air. There were a lot of things in the book that angered me, that upset me. It took me a long time to read this book. I sat it down for months at a time and didn't get to reading the last 60 pages until the end of January. I started it in September. So there were things in there that just did not sit well with me. Now, I don't know if there are trigger warnings listed on the author's website. There are none that I could find in the book. And it does deal with different levels of abuse, verbal, physical, and sexual abuse, and it's very repetitive throughout the book. And there's a lot that I could get into. I don't want to do a formal review at this time. I'm probably going to eventually post something on my Goodreads about it. I have the unpopular view. Like my thoughts on it are the unpopular side. Most people have loved this book and thought it was amazing. And I have seen other people who have felt similarly to me, but again, we are in the minority of the reviews. So at another time, I'm sure I'll address it. I'm sure it does need to be addressed. And it's important to see different views. So, and everybody's experience, again, is completely subjective. So my experience might not be somebody else's experience. It affected me in a certain way. It might not affect somebody else in a certain way. And I really don't think that this particular video is where I would want to discuss all the things that I felt while reading it. So sorry about that. Back to the original video. Those are the 7 books that I read in the month of January. I thought it was pretty good, to have 3 5-star ratings for books, 3 5-star books out of 7 in I was about to say June, in January. It was pretty good odds to me. Like, I wonder if the rest of the year is going to be like that. I think going forward from here on out, because I did have a January TBR that I had filmed, I don't think I'm going to do TBRs for every month. I think I might do them with my quarterly goals, but I don't think I'm going to do them monthly because I do want to do monthly wrap-ups, and it just seems kind of odd to do a TBR and a wrap-up when I'm only doing 1 video a week. So that's, usually like 4 videos a month, sometimes 5, depending on how the weeks line up. So I think I'll just stick with the wrap-ups for YouTube, and if you're interested in seeing my TBRs, check out my Instagram. Link will be down below because I plan on putting my TBRs on there, as well as having in my highlights the current read that I'm doing. I guess that's about it for this video. So if you liked today's video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up down below. And if you like my content, please be sure to subscribe so that you never miss out when I upload a video. Thanks, guys. Have a wonderful day. I'll see you next time.